Good evening, everybody. I'm Tommy Summers, Coldwell Banker, also known as Tom. Thought I would go live for a little bit here on this fantastic Wednesday night and would love to see who's out there and what's going on in your world. Wanted to talk about a couple of different things with real estate because the market's already taking off and I'm having a hard time keeping up with the different people who are asking questions. So I thought it would be best if I hop on and have a little chat. I want to share a little bit of information with you, and then we can move on, like always, to talk about pretty much anything that you want to talk about. So please feel free to chime in if you have any questions at all as I go through this information. This particular video is called What You Don't Know About What You Don't Know, Real Estate Buying. You don't know what you don't know. I know that sounds like an odd phrase, but it's true. If you don't take the time to learn about what it takes to buy a house, that's where you're going to get yourselves in trouble. I think it's important to remember that there's a lot of people who give opinions about things that are not even in the real estate industry. And those folks are the ones you shouldn't be listening to simply because they don't have the facts. It's all perspective in how you look at the market. All you hear from all these people right now is, well, the market's horrible and there's no homes for sale and all of these things. True, it's slower right now, but we're just getting into February. And I can tell you, after the 18 years of me doing this, the one thing I can say that holds true is the market usually doesn't start to heat up until after Super Bowl. Now, I can't say what it's like in Tampa, Florida, or Tennessee or different states and cities, but Minnesota, where I am, when it's 20 below, nobody wants to go anywhere. I certainly don't want to leave the house when it's 20 below. And the older I get, the colder the weather gets, the worse it gets for me. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who feel that way. I just wanted to point out that it's all perspective and how you look at the market. If you look at how many homes sold last year and the year before, what you'll realize is that actually we sold even more homes last year than the year before. The difference is it's not sitting on the shelf like a can of soup. If you're going to be a buyer in this market, what you have to be able to do is you have to be able to know what you want, go in, take a look at that house, and either rule it in or rule it out. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine. We wait, we move on, we find something different. But if it does, you need to know your parameters. You need to strike and try your best to get that house. That's, I think, the thing that a lot of people are missing, and so many of them kind of back off thinking, well, I can't buy right now because it's a nightmare. Well, it isn't. Yes, there are going to be some properties that are going to get a lot more interest than others. If you have a home that is in $400,000 or less in the Minneapolis-St. Paul metro area, and it looks like Pottery Barn where you could just literally move right in, yeah, there's going to be a lot more interest for a home like that than there is something that maybe grandma and grandpa lived in for 30 years that needs, new carpet or new flooring and maybe some new appliances and a countertop. But the thing I would like you to consider is that up until as of recent, that's what most people did. Is you'd buy a house, you'd do some things, you'd fix them up, live for 3, 5, 7 years, turn around, sell it, make a profit, take all of that profit equity in that home, put it into a new one, do the same thing again. And after that, your third or fourth home becomes your dream home or your forever home. And I think we've lost sight of that. And I'm not really sure if it's because of marketing or all of these TV shows that are about fixing homes up and all the different trends. All are important in their own way, but you can't allow it to overcome how you look at essentially making the biggest investment that you'll ever probably make in your life. So the real money or the real value is still there, but it's in the homes that maybe need a little extra work. And I'm not talking about a foreclosure or something that's completely trashed. I'm talking about something that could use those little extras. In looking at that, just a quick overview, you want to get pre-approved. You want to sit down with a loan officer because you'll probably end up getting approved for a lot more than you ever want to spend. And that's not important. What's important is what your monthly payment is going to be. And that's how you factor in what you're going to pay for a home or the area that you're going to look in from a value standpoint. Once you do that, then the search gets set up. After the search gets set up and you start to identify some of these houses, then we go out and we take a look at them. When we're looking at them, if you identify one you really like that you'd like to make a move on, you have to make a decision, like not that minute, but within 24 hours. Either you want to try to get something and get this house, or it's not right for you and we move on, and that's fine. Before you do that, though, I will do a full market for you so that if I was going to list that home, I'd say, look, I think I would list it here. So either the house is overpriced because they're pushing the market too far, it's priced correctly for what's going on currently, or it might actually be overpriced. And if it's overpriced, then well, maybe you don't write a full price offer. You come in lower because those are going to sit longer. But the thing is that the more you learn and the more you know about this stuff, the easier it'll be for you to understand, but you've got to put the work in. You can't start just going out and looking at homes and then try to do all of this backtracking, because there are other people who are looking for a home like you're looking for that have done this homework. Who do you think is going to end up with the house? The person who did the homework, who writes the offer correctly and gets in there and does everything right, or someone who is coming at it on the 11th hour, not having been pre-approved, not really knowing if the value is there in the house and all the other things that go along with it. That's essentially what I wanted to mention today, is that you don't know what you don't know, so you got to find out. It shouldn't be a scary process, but you got to start the right way, in my professional opinion, which is start with a loan officer and start with a real estate agent. We'll give you all the information that you could want, and we love doing it. That's all I had to say. So let's move on. I know that we have several people watching. Anyone want to say something tonight? It doesn't have to be real estate related. We could talk about music or sports or photography. What are you guys thinking? What's on your mind? I'm watching a lot of social media stuff today about some of the new people that the Vikings have hired. And boy, are there some upset people right now. And I don't know any of these people that have been hired as, secondary staff people or that sort of thing. But some people seem to think that they really know everything there is to know about it. So I think that's kind of strange. Other than that, weather's a little warmer here in Minneapolis, which is nice. And I've just been busy working on marketing and selling houses. I've sold 2 already, and both of them literally were listed and sold within 3 or 4 days, both in drastically different price ranges and in different areas of the city. So the market is good. And if you're thinking about selling, boy, you're even a better position right now. You can almost write your own ticket, especially if you have a home that is in excellent condition. There'll be plenty of buyers out there looking for it. That's it. That's really kind of all I had to say. If you guys aren't going to jump in, I'll call it a day and move on. Other than that, we've got all kinds of great concerts coming. I'm looking at the calendar right now. Some of you know, obviously, that I sell real estate, but I also am a photographer, which is my passion. I love doing that. And boy, there's just phenomenal. There is Russell Dickerson. Ghost is coming to Milwaukee. If you guys didn't see it here, it's worth the drive. Youngblood's coming. REO Speedwagon, Slash, Grand Funk, Birthday Massacre, Darius Rucker, Joywave, Steel Panther, Slipknot, Sparks, Blacktop Mojo, Jerry Cantrell, Steel Panther, Darkness, Korn, Buck Cherry, Alice Cooper, Gary Newman. There is so much great music coming. John has a photo question. What's your bag for shooting an arena concert in the pit? Good question, John. It really depends. The bigger issue for me with the arena shows is it a country or is it a rock artist? The rock artist will let me shoot in the pit, which for those of you that don't know, it's up front, in front of the front row, but before the stage. Shooting in the pit, then I think to myself, all right, is this a well-lit show? Like Ghost was pretty well lit. It was a little bit dark. If it's very dark, then I'm going to use prime lenses whenever I can with my Sony body. If it is lighter and well lit, then maybe I'll use some type of a zoom lens. If it's a country artist, they don't want you shooting from the pit. They want you shooting from the front of house, meaning at the soundboard. So then at that point, literally all you can do is shoot with your wide angle. If you're asking about lenses specifically, most of what I'm using are the G series for Sony, which I very much like, but I'm starting to look into some of the other lenses for alternatives as well. There's some great companies out there. Zeiss is another one that I absolutely love. So it comes down to the user and what you're comfortable with. Kathy, hey, how are you? Do you think cash offers have a better chance of being accepted than a conventional mortgage? Yes and no. Cash offers aren't king because they can still be spent. And what I mean by that is I've seen people with cash be reckless and actually spend some of the money before closing, and all of a sudden they can't afford to do it. I think the bigger thing is there's people who try to pretend like they have a cash offer when in reality they don't. They're going to finance it in some sort of way, or they have to do something that turns out to be a loan. I think a well-written, solid offer that's conventional has just as good of a chance. And then it comes down to your terms and what you're offering when you're closing. So one of the things I always do when I'm helping a buyer is I'll call the listing agent and just say, hey, is there something that is important? What's important to your sellers? What can we do to make our offer more appealing? And that's not to put you as my client in a bad position by trying to talk you into something that you shouldn't do. It's just closing date. Some of them want to do a rent back. Some of them want the closing date to be a lot farther. Whenever I hear a listing agent say, well, they don't want to do an inspection, they don't want the buyer to do an inspection, to me, that's a red flag. And that's something I've been saying since the get-go. I am against this idea of writing an offer on a house and not doing a home inspection. I've never been for that. I don't believe that that's right, because no matter what you end up doing, that is one of your last line of defenses. I can tell you a lot about a house. I have built several with my brother-in-law, who is a framer. I have gutted and remodeled at least 3 with my wife. I've had rental property that we've flipped. So I've seen most of it, but I haven't seen it all. I can pick out the obvious, but nothing is better than someone who is a true professional, that's an inspector, that has the moisture meter, that has all of these different instruments and tools to use, that go into 300-400 houses a year and literally are picking them apart. You can't give that up. So I think years ago, cash is king was much more popular than it is now, because if the financing is there and it's a solid financing with a local lender that people can literally call and say, hey, I see that you're working with John and Sue. Can you tell me, have they been through the pre-approval process? Do they have the assets to do this? That's just as good as cash. So thank you for that question. I appreciate it. Yes, Joshua, you're excited about corn. They're coming too. I missed a few others. Tool is coming as well. I know there's a ton of people out there that love them. So if you like music and you like getting out, there are a lot of great options. And check out 1013 Music Reviews. That's a friend of mine, Kyle. He has a really spectacular local but international website where we cover a lot of these shows. So if you want to get a feel for what I thought of Jersey Boys last week, which was phenomenal, I did a review. If you want to hear about upcoming bands and tours, Kyle has all of that stuff posted. So make sure you check that out. It's 1013 Music Reviews. You can find them on Google. You can find them on Facebook. They're everywhere. You're very welcome, Kathy. Thank you for chiming in. I appreciate it. Anything else that's on your mind, guys, before we call this an evening? I have a production meeting tonight with the band Flip. So that ought to be interesting for those of you who know who they are. They are local heroes that did quite well for themselves with some pretty great top 40 songs in the early 90s, late 90s, something like that. I don't know. I can't even keep this stuff straight anymore. I feel like someone posted something the other day that said that 1970 to now is just as far in space as 1970 to 1917. And I'm just like, how is that even possible? And that really makes you feel old. So there you go. I am trying to do this more often because I used to do a Monday Night Live. But the problem with the Monday Night Live was that I was showing houses because of the market we're in, and then I wasn't consistent. So I found with this new software that it's just going to be easier to pop on every now and again like this when I can and check in with you guys and have a conversation. And like I said in my last one, I was in a meeting last week for Coldwell Banker regional meeting, and one of the management had said, one of the things that people miss is that interaction with other human beings. We all get so tied up into watching things on the internet and doing stuff on our phone, which I'm guilty of as well, that we don't talk anymore. So I was kind of hoping maybe this also could be kind of a fun little thing to pop on every once in a while, just check in, because several of you that are watching, I haven't spoken to you in quite some time, and it's great to see your names up here on the board, and I'm glad you're here. So that's kind of what the purpose of this is. And then also too, if any of you know anyone that needs help, obviously buying or selling a house, please let me know. I would be more than happy to help them, and I appreciate the referral. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week. Super Bowl weekend this weekend, so that should be good. Sam, hey, how are you? Good to see you too. Thank you so much for the review. I hope that you guys take care of yourselves and each other. Be good to everyone. And remember, everybody that you meet is fighting a battle. So always be kind. That's something we can all do. You guys have a great rest of your week, and I hope to see you again really soon. Stay out of trouble and be good.